This is a Dragon Blazer production, and I am the little boogeyman.
All right. Coming down the aisle, the podcast tag team champions of the world, the Rage and Blaze Show. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Rage and Blaze Show. I'm Rage.
And I'm Blaze.
Now today is a very special episode to us because we get to move on from another pay-per-view other than WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Not that we don't like WrestleMania. We absolutely love WrestleMania. But we're just a little excited to move on and check out the early days of some of the other major pay-per-views that WWF, now WWE, has to offer. So the first one they decided to come out with, beyond WrestleMania, is Survivor Series.
My pay-per-view.
This is your favorite pay-per-view, Blaze.
No, this is my pay-per-view because it comes out in November every year, which is around my birthday. So therefore it's on my birthday month, so it's my pay-per-view.
So it has nothing to do with the WWF at the time felt like they wanted a Thanksgiving tradition. This was all for you.
Well, Thanksgiving is my holiday too.
Oh, fair enough.
That's my birthday dinner.
Okay.
Turkey.
Okay.
Pumpkin pie.
Good for you. Gobble, gobble. So anyhow.
Mashed potatoes. Stuffy. Sorry, continue.
Do you
You're
need
doing
to
a
eat?
great job.
Do you need to eat before we film the rest of this podcast?
No, we're good.
Okay, fair enough. So we can move on?
No, sure.
Okay. So anyhow, we're pretty excited because this is a very different type of pay-per-view than WrestleMania. You get the elimination matches. It's a very fun concept that WWF came up with that they still do to this very day.
Yes, we went from 10 to 13-minute matches to this first match being like 20-minute long.
Yeah, I believe the first match in this Survivor Series is already 24 minutes. So, I mean, definitely I think that's breaking the length of any match we have ever had at any of the WrestleManias we've watched.
It definitely did.
So, but I know a certain match in WrestleMania 12 that'll top all of them.
Would it be an hour-long Iron Man match?
And if my recollection does me right, it goes into overtime.
Oh.
So it's even longer than an hour.
Oh, okay.
And it's amazing. Best match ever. But we'll get to that. But anyhow, so now, so speaking of Survivor Series, out of the big four, where does this kind of, right now, without watching them yet, without the rewatch, where does this fall in line on your favorite of the big four of the WWE?
Whew, that's tough. I love the concept of the Survivor Series match. So when WWE does Survivor Series matches and focuses on the Survivor Series match for Survivor Series, absolutely love it. But then there's Royal Rumble. I love the Royal Rumble match as well. So it's up there.
Well, you've got 1 through 4. I'll make it simple. I won't make it as complicated as Blaze is making it. My rankings this is number 3 on my list.
Okay.
I just feel like WrestleMania is the granddaddy. Royal Rumble, I agree, is very fun. And I find Survivor Series very fun, which kind of leaves, for me, SummerSlam right at the bottom.
Well, SummerSlam is definitely at the bottom of my list as well.
And it only is because it's kind of like a summer version of WrestleMania, but let's be honest. It's not WrestleMania. WrestleMania is WrestleMania. So to me, that's
Dollar
my
Tree
hierarchy.
version of WrestleMania. I mean, it's second rate. It's not WrestleMania. It's still fun, and we're still doing this on the podcast because, I mean, SummerSlam is one of the big four, but it's not WrestleMania. And for me, I would say WrestleMania would be third. And I love WrestleMania. I love the gimmick matches. I love the Royal Rumble matches. I love the Survivor Series matches. So my problem is whether I put Royal Rumble or Survivor Series
at one.
at one. Which one would I put at one? Because I love both match styles. I love the elimination match. I love elimination matches in general. So, and let's face it, that's essentially what a Royal Rumble is. That's an elimination match with 30 different men or women. Sorry.
It's hard to compare it to Survivor Series because there's no pins or submissions. It's you got to throw them over the top rope, and that's not what a Survivor Series match is.
Well, I know, but it's still elimination.
Fair enough.
You don't win the match by getting that pin or throwing them over the rope. You have to throw out more. You have to throw everyone out. You have to be the last man standing, and I like that style of match.
Definitely. It is definitely a fun one. I can't wait to get to the Royal Rumble. But we just brought up SummerSlam, and I'd like to talk about SummerSlam for a minute here. I don't know if you have been following the Rage and Blaze Show Facebook page or the Rage and Blaze Show Instagram page.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. Or at Ricky Rayberg.
I don't really follow that
on Twitter.
I don't follow that one.
Well, anyhow, you definitely should be following these pages because just today, actually, which I know this won't drop until Saturday, but as of today of this recording, I just posted a This Day in History that's very interesting that leads to a SummerSlam that I remember very well. And that was the day that Matt Hardy came back to Monday Night Raw after being fired for, I think, 3 months. Comes back to Monday Night Raw, attacks Edge not once but twice. And then the second time he does it in the middle of the Kane Edge match. And he goes out there, attacks Edge. Then he grabs a microphone. He says, "I'm going to make your life miserable." And he even says Adam. Doesn't call him Edge. Calls him by his real name. Then he says, "I'm going to make your life miserable," referring to Lita. And then he tells the WWE, "You can kiss my ass." And then he follows that with saying, "Watch me this weekend on Ring of Honor." It was one of the most realistic, dramatized, I don't even know what was real and what was fake. The fact that he named off Ring of Honor just throws it off to the point where you don't know what was real, what was fake. I mean, we all know wrestling's a show, but that's about as real as it's ever gotten. So anyhow, that led to a SummerSlam match. And it got me kind of reminiscent. I was playing on the WWE Network. And, that was the one that Hulk Hogan faced Shawn Michaels. And then you had the Edge and Matt Hardy match. And that was a really fun one. And I really can't wait to get to that.
Oh, we got a little whiles to go.
But if you follow along on the Facebook and the Instagram and the Twitter and you see me post these things, we can revisit this and talk about it. We don't have to wait for that episode. So I'm just letting people know, you follow that Facebook, you follow that Instagram, you follow that Twitter, you can join the conversation. Tell us what you think about these history and wrestling that we've been posting. And did you see whose birthday it was the other day?
Gilbert.
Yeah, one of the greatest WWE superstars of all time, right?
Now, sure. Now, I like to think that moment when Matt Hardy came there and talked about Ring of Honor and everything, that was the start of Matt Hardy breaking.
Oh, so that is
the catalyst.
The beginning of Broken Matt Hardy?
The beginning of Broken Matt Hardy right there.
Is that so?
That's the way I like to think of it.
Yeah, maybe so. Hard to say. I guess if your girlfriend cheated on you, I suppose that would be the beginning of Broken Matt Hardy. So it makes sense. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the first ever edition of Survivor Series that took place November 26th, 1987. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
Okay, so the first thing we get on this Survivor Series is they let us know that they're in Richfield, Ohio.
Ohio!
So they're right in our backyard. We're what? Maybe an hour away from Richfield?
Yep.
I think we're about 60 miles from Richfield. So this is pretty exciting to know that the very first Survivor Series is right in our backyard. I never knew that. It's pretty cool.
Didn't know that either.
Okay, so then we get introduction of Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse the Body Ventura. They introduce them. And then after that, we get a interview with the first team with team captain Honky Tonk Man.
Uh-huh.
And on his team, he has Dangerous Danny Davis, the King Harley Race, Hercules,
The demigod.
and the Cowboy Ron Bass. Or no, I'm sorry. I think it was the Outlaw Ron Bass. But he comes out dressed as a cowboy.
Yeah, I was the outlaw.
And they have in their corner Bobby the Brain Heenan and the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. And I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of these two. Just the way that they manage all these teams. I just have a feeling we're going to see a lot of these two throughout this pay-per-view like we have in all the other WrestleManias.
Yeah, I think we will.
Okay, so next thing we get to meet the next team, which is team captain Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh, yeah.
And on his team, he's got Brutus, and finally,
The
he is
Barber!
the Barber Beefcake. We get Jake the Snake Roberts, Hacksaw Jim Duggan,
Ho!
and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, and in their corner, they have the beautiful Miss Elizabeth. So this match kicks off. It's Brutus the Barber Beefcake versus Hercules. They start for their team, and they also go through the rules. Earlier on, they tell us the rules of a Survivor Series match. They tell how you can get eliminated. And because keep in mind, this is the first ever Survivor Series pay-per-view.
Now, I would like to go through those rules because
Go ahead.
We got some ones that are not. I don't think really used these days. The first one is, of course, pinfall.
Of course.
Second, obvious submission.
Yep.
Now, back then, apparently, you could get taken out by countout, which we will see a
Okay.
few times. Then there was the ref could kick you out by injury.
By injury, yeah. If they deemed you unable
Unfit.
to continue with the match.
And then disqualification.
Of course.
So,
So, this match, like I said, starts off Beefcake and Hercules. And, it's actually a pretty good back and forth match. I actually thought this match was a lot of fun. I'd also like to point out that there was 5-on-5 where in today's Survivor Series, and it'll be interesting watching through these Survivor Series to see
when that changes.
exactly when that changed. Heck, we could get into this Survivor Series and find out there is 4-on-4 matches. There wasn't really no lockdown set, but we traditionally know most Survivor Series are
No, I-
4-on-4.
I kind of feel like when they were doing these 5-on-5, that was because they had a captain. I don't feel like they do a captain as much these days. So I feel like that captain's what is taken away.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think they kind of do. They had. They made it a big deal, but I still remember watching the Survivor Series matches and leading up to it. It was always like, oh, it's Team Hogan versus Team, whoever, and it was always kind of mentioned who the big deal was. So I don't know if it was in here. You've got the announcers basically talking about how, the team captains get to choose who starts off in the ring. And even later in the match, I believe Macho Man Randy Savage was kind of in some trouble. And they even kind of made the comment about, if they lose their team captain, what kind of chance do they have to win this match? And it's like, well, pretty good chance. It just depends on how good the other wrestlers are. But they almost acted like losing your team captain was like, oh my gosh, you losing your quarterback on a football team. You just can't do it.
Right.
So, anyhow,
they at least make a bigger deal backhand.
Oh yeah, they're definitely making a big deal about who the team captain is, and I agree. And nowadays they probably don't as much.
Well, nowadays,
but it still seems like there's always like that headline guy.
It saddens me because Survivor Series, they tend to have like one Survivor Series match, and instead of like back in the old days, I always remember almost every match was a Survivor Series.
Right. So, I mean, it was pretty cool to see this start off as a Survivor Series match because I know we've had a lot of those where there's really only, like in today's, I believe the traditional sense is you've got a Raw version and a SmackDown version.
Yeah, they've been doing more Survivor Series because matches
Right.
because of that, and I love it. I love the Raw versus SmackDown, and now they've added ECW, or not ECW.
That's
I'm sorry,
NXT.
NXT. They've
Yeah,
added NXT,
They did for a while there. There was an ECW brand.
and that kind of got replaced by NXT.
Right.
But yeah, they now they do Raw, SmackDown, and NXT in these Survivor Series matches.
And then I believe even the women have their own Survivor Series matches too.
Yeah.
So,
Well, they mentioned there is going to be a woman's
yeah,
Survivor
they did
Series
mention
in here
that at
too.
the beginning. You're right. There is going to be a female Survivor Series match, so that isn't too groundbreaking. But I know I watched it for many years, and that wasn't really
No, they didn't.
the case. So they must have got away from it.
Yeah, women. The women wrestling has been a lot more predominant in these older pay-per-views than I expected.
Although Gorilla Monsoon is still calling it the Ladies Championship.
Well,
He even brought that up at the beginning of the show, and I just think that's...
his name is Gorilla Monsoon, so
Right.
I mean...
So anyhow, back to this match. So we get our first elimination in the way of a double countout. Turns out that, and as the announcers are talking, you kind of pick up that there's something going on between Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the King Harley Race.
they were feuding before this.
They've definitely got some kind of beef going on. They start getting into it, get outside of the ring. Referee counts to 10. He eliminates both of them in one swoop. They're gone.
Yeah, we went from ho to no.
Cute. So anyhow, we get that as the first elimination. And then beyond that, we get another elimination, and that is the Outlaw Ron Bass. So Brutus the Barber Beefcake does a quick tag where Macho Man's originally in there, does a quick tag, does a high knee to Ron Bass, and gets the 1, 2, 3.
Yep, nobody cared.
So as the match
I've never heard of
continues
that guy.
on, do what?
Said I've never heard of that guy.
You never heard of the Outlaw Ron Bass?
I have not. Have you?
Okay. No. I looked him up. It looks like he retired in 91. So, I mean,
We might get to see some more of him eventually.
and this is the first time we've seen him in any of these pay-per-views.
Yeah, well, he hasn't been on any of them.
So the match continues on, and our next elimination is Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Finally get the beefcake, and he gets taken out.
Yeah. So, and that was a little bit of shadiness by the dangerous Danny Davis. He kicks Brutus in the back.
That was an accident.
And then Honky Tonk Man takes advantage of it, pins him 1, 2, 3. We have another elimination. So then moving on again, we have our next elimination is that same dangerous Danny Davis gets in the ring with Jake the Snake Roberts, and after a DDT, 1, 2, 3, dangerous Danny Davis is gone. So now we're down to 3 versus 2.
Kind of surprised that Danny Davis is in 2 of these pay-per-views. He hasn't really shown any kind of interest. He's kind of...
Yeah, he definitely looks out of sorts with the kind of the big boys. This was actually a very well done match.
Oh, it's fun.
It was a very, very fun match. A lot of good spots. Not that he did anything to take away from the match. He just didn't do anything to add to it.
We've had 2 matches with him, and he's just...
I get that. He's
Eh.
So then, as we've got 3 versus 2, the next elimination goes to Hercules.
Which is bullcrap. This is a demigod. How are these mortals doing anything against the almighty Hercules?
Well, because, I mean, you're looking at real-life superheroes here, and superheroes can defeat demigods.
I don't understand. He's Hercules.
So then all you have left is the Honky Tonk Man, and they have fun with him. It's the best way I can tell it. They had a lot of fun. Kind of punishing and beating him up to the point where he hightails it out of there after Macho Man finally gets his hands on him, and you can tell there's something going on there where there was a feud back then too. So he hightails it out of there. They count the 1 all the way down to 10, and he's eliminated due to count out.
He realized that his stove was on, and he really needed to get back home. I don't understand why you think he was running away. Honky Tonk Man is not a coward, Rage. He had to get home. You know, he didn't want his house to burn down.
Well, he certainly looked like a coward.
No. He got a notification, realized he needed to get home. His stove was on. You know, it's a dangerous thing.
Well, I don't know about that, Blaze. I think he kind of cowardly left the ring, and that was the end of that match.
You totally misread the situation. I'm sure he's going to talk about this later in the show.
So the remaining combatants for Macho Man Randy Savage's team ended up being Macho Man, Jake the Snake Roberts, and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. They get the victory in the first ever Survivor Series match.
Good match.
Yeah, very, very much.
It's sad that it had to end with Honky Tonk Man going home to take care of his stove.
Yeah, I don't think that was the case.
It was. I heard. I read about it somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you don't want to believe everything you read on the internet.
Why? The internet has everything factual. Everything's true. Everything's true on the internet.
Uh-huh. All right, so let's move on with the pay-per-view. Okay, our next match is a Women's Survivor Series match, still 5-on-5. So it is against the Fabulous Moolah as the team captain, with her partners, the Jumping Bomb Angels, which consist of Itsuki Yamazaki and Norio Tatano. And they also have Rockin' Robin and Velvet McIntyre on one team. The second team consists of I believe the team captain was Sensational Sherry.
It was.
And her partners, Dawn Marie Johnston, Donna Cristanello. Sorry. Some of these are unfamiliar to me. The Glamour Girls, which consist of Leilani Kai and Judy Martin, which are also the women's tag team champions.
Some of these are unfamiliar.
A little bit.
I know 2 women in this 10 women match.
Yeah, I know.
I know Sensational Sherry, and I know Fabulous Moolah.
And I'll tell you what, and Sensational Sherry was even hard to recognize based on the fact that she wasn't wearing all that makeup she usually wears.
Yeah.
So she was kind of hard to recognize at the beginning of this.
I recognized her because I heard them call her name.
So anyhow, this match was okay. The Jumping Bomb Angels was the most fun of this whole match.
This match was not okay.
It was okay.
This was a pretty crappy match, but you are right. There was one bright spot, and that was the Jumping Bomb Angels. They were the only entertaining part of this match. Sherry was okay. Moolah was Moolah. But yeah, the Jumping Bomb Angels definitely the only exciting part of this match. Otherwise, most of these women just did nothing but flip, 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 flip. Wait, one drop kick. Flip, flip.
Yeah, well, it just... And that was kind of why the Jumping Bomb Angels were so much more exciting, is because they were really doing different stuff.
Yeah, they were entertaining. They did some underhook suplexes that were fun. Some
off the top,
moves.
Off the top rope stuff. They were definitely fun to watch. It kind of saddens me that I don't remember them, because it seems like they would have been a fun team to watch back then.
Well, there's one thing about remembering, and there's another thing about never seeing them before in your life.
Yeah, but
I've never seen these women before in my life.
I guess what my point is as exciting as they are, you would think we'd have seen them more back then, which means we would probably have remembered them. Is that fair to say?
Fair to say.
Okay, so the winners of this match, the last two remaining, was the Jumping Bomb Angels.
This is so bad we don't want to talk about who gets eliminated.
I'm going to be honest with you. I couldn't keep track of the names.
Velvet McIntyre.
Okay, go ahead.
Gets the first takeout. Takes out Donna Christanella with a... She gets on her back and does like a sunset flip pin. After that, we had Rockin' Robin taking out Dawn Marie. It was unremarkable. Sensational Sherry then takes out Rockin' Robin. They kind of get her on the outside, or over by the turnbuckles. Double team her ever a little bit and takes her out. Then Glamour Girl Judy Martin takes out the Fabulous Moolah, which that was kind of a surprise because they took out the captains.
Yeah, both team captains got eliminated in this one.
Don't remember who took out Sensational Sherry. Was it Velvet McIntyre?
Yeah, I think it was.
I believe it was. Yes, it was Velvet McIntyre because she does the exact same on the shoulder sunset flip to Sensational Sherry, takes her out. Then Leilani did this. She had her up on her had
her up on her shoulders.
Yeah, had Velvet McIntyre up on her shoulders. Then slingshots her off the ropes, slams her down, and then pins her. And then the Bomb Angels just takes care of the last two, the Glamour Girls. Leilani. Now, they didn't really say their names in this, so I'm not sure which Bomb Angel was which.
Yeah, they did a really bad job about kind of telling us which one was which.
Yeah, even when they got the pin, they said the Bomb Angel took out Leilani. They would say the Glamour Girls' names, but I don't think they knew which one was which.
That might be fair to say. That might be why they didn't say their names, because they didn't know which ones was which.
But one of the Bomb Angels jumps off the top rope, gets Leilani with the crossbody, and gets the pin. And then they're doing some double team moves, the Bomb Angels, on the last girl, Judy Martin. And Jimmy Hart tries to come up. I'm pretty sure he noticed something. He wanted to talk to the referee about it.
Is that right?
Yeah. I also want to mention that Jimmy Hart, this is the first time we've seen him come out with one of the ladies.
This is true.
Yeah.
And we've already seen Jimmy Hart in this pay-per-view once with the first team, and here he is again, second team. Just
managing literally everyone.
Kind of makes you wonder how many times we're going to see Jimmy Hart tonight.
Anybody that gives him a $5 bill, I think he manages. But they, the Bomb Angels give him a little bit of a drop kick and knock him out of the ring, and then they do with the worst camera work ever.
Yeah.
One of the Bomb Angels get at the top rope. Now, I think right before it cut, it was like a flying clothesline finish. But then they cut away from the excitement in this ring, which this was actually one of the few times that was an exciting part of this match. They cut away to show Jimmy Hart writhing on the floor.
Yeah, and then one of the Bomb Angels got the 1, 2, 3. I'd like to also kind of point out, I noticed that Jimmy Hart's jacket said the Glamour Girls on the back.
Yeah, he was the manager of the Glamour Girls.
I'm aware of that. My question is, and the reason I bring it up, how many jackets does he has to bring to a show like this?
23.
23. It just seems like, I mean, does he have a jacket for every team he manages or every wrestler he manages?
Probably. What happens if he has two people he manages facing each other? Does he wear like a half jacket or like change it during the match?
You know, that's a good question. But the reality is back then, I don't think you had a lot of heels facing heels in it. It just seems to be that Jimmy Hart only managed heels.
That's fair.
So I don't think it happened very often.
Well, I would love to see it if it does happen.
Oh, that'd be great. Does he just kind of run around the ring?
Yeah, just
like,
go.
Hey, get him, man, get him. Oh, now we're running around the ring. Oh, get him, man.
Doing like a Bugs Bunny type thing. We're going back and forth. It's like, you got him. Oh no, he's reeling now. Let's go.
Does he change jackets as he
goes?
Does he cheat
for
corner?
both of them? You
yeah,
know?
Does he? Yeah, it just kind of makes you wonder what would he have done if he was put in that position.
I don't know.
Okay, well, these are questions for another day. Let's move on to the next match. Okay, so the next Survivor Series match is a 10-on-10 Survivor Series tag team match. So in this match, if your tag team partner gets eliminated, you are eliminated.
That is correct. This is a long match.
This match was a whopping 37 minutes. So let's go through these teams. There's a lot. So we have the Bolsheviks, which is Boris Zakov and Nikolai Volkov. Demolition, which is, oh man, I was so happy to see Demolition finally.
I used to love Demolition.
With Axe and Smash. Then you've got the Dream Team, Dino Bravo and Greg the Hammer Valentine. You've got, of course, the Hart Foundation, Bret the Hitman Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart. You have the Islanders, Haku and Tama. And you have at ringside with all these teams, Bobby the Brain Heenan, Mr. Fuji, the Mouth of the South Jimmy Hart, Johnny Valiant, and Slick. So you have a whole lot of people, and that's just one side of the ring.
And Jimmy Hart is once again
in his third match of the night out of 3 matches.
Out of 3 matches.
So then the other team, their opponents, the British Bulldogs, which is Davey Boy Smith and the Dynamite Kid, the Killer Bees, B. Brian Blair and Jim Brunzel, the Fabulous Ragoos with, I'm probably
Ragu?
The Ragoos. They make spaghetti sauce or something. So their team consists of Jacques Ragu and Raymond Ragu. And I know I'm probably butchering this.
The shit out of that.
Then you have Strike Force, which is the tag team champions of the world. And that consists of Rick Martel and Tito Santana. And then the Young Stallions, Jim Powers and Paul Roma. Now this was a lengthy match. The best way I can tell you about this match is early on there was a lot of energy and a lot of fun. But as the match went on, it just felt like it needed to end. It was too much, too long.
All the most interesting teams get knocked out
Right?
pretty quick.
I mean, so Blaze, go ahead and tell us the rundown of the eliminations in this match.
Well, Tito Santana eliminated Boris. Also, I'd like to point out that got a little racy again with
I think
Jesse Ventura.
Jesse the Body kept calling him Chico.
Yeah, kept calling Tito Chico Santana.
Okay.
Axe eliminates one of the Ragus. I'm not sure which one.
Okay.
Smash gets DQ'd for pushing the ref. The ref shouldn't have gotten Smash's way, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, he got a little overzealous. They were really dominating. Anytime Axe and Smash was in the ring, people were getting punished. I mean, just flat out punished. And then the only reason he got eliminated was his own doing, which was, you can't touch the ref. He touched the ref.
Yeah, I would have liked to see a little bit more Axe and Smash. They put on some pretty good power moves.
And how awesome was it to see them come out in their masks?
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it. I love their whole outfits. They come out with the masks. They take off the mask. They got the makeup. Demolition, when I was that age, was just awesome to me. I loved Demolition. And then they add Crush later on, and they were just awesome.
Yeah,
to me,
I always liked Demolition myself. For me, this match, the one that shines the most, and it should be no surprise, Bret the Hitman Hart. I mean, his suplexes just look so nice.
Yeah.
Everything he does, his when someone else gets tagged in, him like waving away, like no.
Yeah.
I mean, he sells it in there. His moves are so pretty. I mean, Bret's pretty great.
Yeah, you could definitely tell he was very big bright spot in this match.
Yeah. Then you got Jim the Anvil Neidhart eliminating Tito Santana. Then there was this cool moment where Haku kicks... wrong cool moment. Haku kicks Dynamite Kid and gets the elimination there on Dynamite Kid and the Bulldogs.
Okay.
The one I was meant to talk about was Roma jumps off the rope and catches the Hammer, who was trying to do a submission. He was trying to do a figure 4 leg lock, and Roma jumps off the turnbuckle and catches him with the sunset flip power bomb and gets the pin. So that was cool. Then you had Tamu. Bret the Hitman Hart is being he's grabbed by Brunzel for what looked like he was about to pick him up for a body slam. Well, Tamu drop kicks Bret with the intention of Brunzel falling down on his back and get Bret getting the pin. However, Brunzel flips him and gets the pin instead. So that was a fun little moment. And then, so that leaves you with the Killer Bees, the Wild Stallions, at the end, against the Islanders. And for the most part, the Islanders, they take control of this match, despite the fact they were, overwhelmed. 2 teams versus 1. But then the Killer Bees do some bullshittery. I'm just going to say, bullshittery. because one of the Killer Bees, and even the announcers weren't sure which one, because one of them, they put on mask. The one on the outside puts on a mask, and while the ref is distracted, comes in with a sunset flip and gets the 1, 2, 3. And then the other guy puts on a mask, so the ref has no idea which one's which.
Now, wait a second,
This is
Blaze.
like some twin stuff.
Wait a second, Blaze. So you're telling me you don't agree with those tactics?
No, that's bullshittery.
Come on, Blaze. All the stuff I've heard you talk about, and you don't agree with those tactics.
What are you
Anything
trying to say?
to win, remember?
No, I don't think I've said that at all.
Well, I'll tell you what, it was definitely odd. You had these guys, they didn't wear masks the whole match, and then out of nowhere at the end of the match, they're wearing masks. I'm like, I remember looking at you during the match like, was they wearing masks the whole time, or am I, did I miss something? Because
of how unremarkable the Killer Bees actually are. They weren't wearing masks the whole time, and you didn't even notice.
Well, I didn't think they were, but then at the end they're wearing masks. I never saw them put on the mask
because of bullshittery.
I was confused at the end.
It was, yeah.
But anyhow, like I said, the beginning of this match really was enjoyable. Definitely was seeing Demolition back in the ring. That was really fun. It kind of dragged. It became too long for its own good. All the exciting stuff kind of happened at the beginning. It felt like there was kind of a middle of just kind of dragged out stuff. And then towards the end started picking up again. So this match was just kind of up and down for me.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's keep it moving. Okay, so it looks like they give us a little break in action here. They decide to go and talk about what the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, does for his Thanksgiving Day. This was great. So they show Ted DiBiase. He's talking to himself while riding in a limo. And he kind of explains, what he likes to do for Thanksgiving. So then it shows footage of, I'm guessing, past WWF events where he has given audience members, mostly children, a chance to earn money.
And they couldn't do it.
Well,
pathetic little kids.
The only one I could say didn't really do it was the first kid. The first kid did 9 out of 10 push-ups. He was supposed to do 10 push-ups. For some reason, I don't know if he miscounted. I don't know what the deal was, but the kid stopped at 9. So he looked at $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase looked at Virgil, and Virgil shakes his head and says, no, he doesn't get the money. So then the next kid has to bounce a basketball 15 times. And he's doing pretty good. But around 14, Ted DiBiase kicks the basketball. Why would he do that to a little kid?
I didn't see that at all.
He kicked the basketball.
Failed. He was pathetic little kid, just failed.
Now, why would he do that?
He wouldn't do that.
He was going to give this kid $500, but he kicks the basketball.
I think you're just against rich people, Rage.
So then you see a woman on all fours who has to bark like a dog, but apparently her barking wasn't, once again, good enough.
It was terrible.
No money.
Terrible bark. She goes, rough. What the hell is that?
So the cherry on top is he goes to a public pool and he tells the manager of the pool, get these brats out of here. He says, I can't do that. So Virgil passes some $100 bills to him.
$200.
He says, I still can't do that. So Virgil gives him more money.
Another $200.
So finally the manager says, let me see what I can do. And he kicks the kids out of the pool.
Yeah, they didn't need to be there.
What kind of monster does that?
Monster? That's just rude.
Oh, come on. It was rude what he was doing. He's abusing his money. So anyhow, we get this little comedy segment with Ted DiBiase talking about Thanksgiving, and then it goes back to Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse the Body Ventura, and they kind of start recapping the night, so it sounds like our main event's coming up.
Yes, it is.
So we're about to move on, and we've got Andre the Giant as the captain of one team, and Hulk Hogan as the captain of the other team.
And as they mentioned earlier, Andre the Giant should have won that match last WrestleMania.
Yeah,
he had him down for the 3 count.
Yeah, they're talking about a controversial moment. They're saying Andre had Hulk Hogan pinned, but the referee didn't count to 3, and Hogan got up in time. So
he did not. Andre
that's
the
what they're
Giant should have
referring
been
to.
the winner of that terrible match.
Okay, so let's go ahead to the main event. Okay, so before the main event, we get another interview, this time with the Honky Tonk Man and Jimmy Hart. And the Honky Tonk Man basically says he is the greatest intercontinental heavyweight champion of all time.
You act like he's not right.
I can name a couple that were better in history, but maybe that history hasn't happened yet. Well, number one, the Macho Man Randy Savage has already held the Intercontinental title at this point. So
I can't argue that. I love Macho Man.
Okay, so he basically tells Hogan that he will put his belt up against his belt any day of the week, and then tells Savage, "Look, I'm done with you. You're done. You're nothing to me."
Well, he's back from taking care of his stove situation. So,
So we'll see where that goes on the next show. Maybe it resolves itself before our next show, which would be Royal Rumble at this point. Okay, so the main event, we have Andre the Giant with the natural Butch Reed, King Kong Bundy, One Man Gang, and the ravishing Rick Rude. And in their corner, they have Bobby the Brain Heenan and Slick. Their opponents, Bam Bam Bigelow, The Rock Don Morocco.
Yeah,
Don't get confused.
I didn't realize The Rock was in wrestling this early.
No, this isn't the most electrifying man in sports entertainment today.
It's not The Rock.
This is the original The Rock, Don Morocco. We have the immortal Hulk Hogan, Ken Patera, and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. And in their corner, Oliver Humperdinck.
Who?
Oliver Humperdinck. He was that colorful guy in the corner there. You don't remember seeing him come out?
No.
He was there.
Sure.
Anyhow, so this match, I thought, was extremely exciting. It was a really fun match to watch, and all I could think about while watching this match was, how is that ring surviving the pounds that are in this match? You have Andre the Giant well over 500 pounds. Then you have One Man Gang. You have King Kong Bundy and Bam Bam Bigelow, who I believe are all at least over 400 pounds. I mean, I just have to give it up to whoever makes these rings, because there's 8 men standing up on the apron. There's a referee, so that's 9 men, and 4 of those men are 4 to almost over 500 pounds.
A lot of big guys.
A lot of big guys. So this match moved along, I thought, a lot better than any of the other Survivor Series matches. Tonight, anyhow. I thought the flow, it kept you entertained. This was a really fun and exciting match to watch. Especially having all the big guys, you wouldn't think that. You would think it'd be kind of slow and boring. But with these big guys, Even look, did you see Bam Bam Bigelow
Bam
running?
Bam is a very agile, large
Dear
man.
Lord, Bam
Very
Bam
agile, large
rolling
man.
around the ring,
Flying
jumping,
around.
flying. Oh man, I loved watching Bam Bam. I mean, I remember liking Bam Bam, but just watching this again,
Yeah, he was a pretty agile big guy.
this was a fun one to watch. So, our first elimination was Hulk Hogan pinning the Natural Butch Reed.
With the leg drop.
Yep, got the leg drop there. The next one was One Man Gang pinning Ken Patera.
Yeah, that one was with a double clothesline. And only One Man Gang's clothesline did any damage.
So the next elimination was the Ravishing Rick Rude pinning Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff.
With a schoolboy pin. And, he may have grabbed something, but... it's
Yeah,
not a
he
big
had
deal.
the tights.
No, it's fine.
He cheated.
He
That
was
one
helping.
shouldn't have counted. So then the next one, The Rock, Don Morocco, pinning Ravishing Rick Rude.
With a body press slam. While Hulk Hogan was still in the ring, threw him up against the ropes, body press slam, and pin.
Okay, and then the next one was One Man Gang pinning The Rock, Don Morocco.
Yeah, he does a big splash after the Rock gets a headbutt from Andre the Giant.
Now, this next one's a little controversial, in a sense, because Hulk Hogan gets outside of the ring, and he gets attacked by One Man Gang and King Kong Bundy.
He should have focused himself on Andre, who was in the ring with him.
And what was really cool was even though he got attacked by both men, he power slammed each man on the outside of the ring. But unfortunately, the referee was still counting on the inside of the ring. And he gets counted out.
Yeah, this was a shock. I mean, first ever Survivor Series, and your golden boy Hulk Hogan gets counted out.
I was shocked. I mean, as we said earlier in the show, I don't think I've ever seen some of these old Survivor Series. I've seen a lot of the WrestleManias, but as for Survivor Series, Royal Rumbles, SummerSlams, there's probably a certain point that I hadn't seen any of them up until probably the late 90s. So this was an interesting one for me to watch, not knowing the full history of what happened in some of these shows. So this was the first show we've done that I actually was surprised about something, because we were talking during the match that this had to come down to Hogan and Andre.
That's what we figured would happen.
We just assumed that's what happened. But instead, this match comes down to 3 against 1, and the one wasn't Hogan.
Yeah.
It was Bam Bam, Bigelow.
Bam Bigelow.
Bam Bam!
Bam Bam.
So we were just shocked when we saw this, because we didn't know this had happened, and we didn't look into it or nothing before we sat and watched the program. So this was a shocker for us, and it really made this match even more exciting, because it wasn't your typical, okay, we're going to watch, Hogan's going to win, wave the American flag at the end of the night, pander to the crowd. It wasn't what we thought was going to happen. No, we'll get to that later. But we were really surprised when Hogan got eliminated, and there's still 3 of Andre's guys still left. So when you have Bam Bam as the last man standing on Hogan's team, we were just shocked.
Yeah, I was surprised.
So now you've got Bam Bam against basically 2 tons standing on the other side of the ring, which is not that far of an exaggeration. So, and then Bam Bam he looked tired, but he kept doing his rolls. He kept fighting these other big men. So then that brings us to our next elimination, which was Bam Bam Bigelow pinning King Kong Bundy. How'd it happen, Blaze?
Well, Bam Bam does a slingshot. He was on the outside of the ropes, and he slingshots his body in for a big slam. Or a big splash.
And that was
another one of
awesome
Bam Bam's,
move.
Yeah, it was really fun. Cool.
We both looked at each other like, what?
Yeah, Bam Bam really impressed in this match.
That was so cool to see that.
Yeah.
So then brings us to the next one. Bam Bam Bigelow pinning One Man Gang. How'd it happen?
One Man Gang decided he wanted to try to climb to the top rope. Didn't even get all the way on the top rope. He just kind of whoop from a little bit half on the second rope and once on the top rope. And he jumps off for a splash. Totally whiffs.
And all Bam Bam had to do was pin him. So
Groggily
really, this
pin
should honestly read One Man Gang eliminated One Man Gang.
Pretty much, yeah.
So at this point, Bam Bam's just trying to survive. And then he comes face to face with the eighth wonder of the world, Andre the Giant. And unfortunately for Bam Bam, this is where his luck runs out. He gets the pin. Andre gets the pin, 1, 2, 3. Bam Bam's eliminated. Andre's team wins. How'd it happen?
Well, Andre the Giant really helps solidify my complaints. He does a shitty underhook suplex where he... Now, mind you, Bam Bam's a big guy.
Fair enough, but he's a bigger guy.
He is a bigger guy. And he just terribly does an underhook suplex and gets the pin on Bam Bam.
It did not look good.
It did not look good at all.
Andre should have stuck with something like a choke slam or something, because
doing actual wrestling moves are
just looked awkward.
I'd like to see him face off against someone, I don't know, more agile, I guess. See what
you want to see him go against Rey Mysterio and Rey Mysterio gets squashed?
Obviously not Rey Mysterio, but like maybe Macho Man might give him a more entertaining match.
Well, we saw him against Hogan. You wasn't impressed with that.
Well, no, because Hogan's a very charismatic guy. Hogan is not the best wrestler.
Okay, so speaking of Hogan, we're not done seeing Hogan in this pay-per-view.
No, we are not.
As Hogan decides to come out after the match is over and hit Andre about 2 or 3 times with the World Heavyweight Championship belt.
Just throwing it all around willy-nilly.
He was definitely wanting to get his hands on Andre in this match, and it never really happened. So he came out to get some. Andre hightailed it out of the ring. Kind of looked like Andre wanted to get back in the ring, but Bobby the Brain Heenan said no.
Yeah, he declined that.
So they hightail it out of the arena while Hogan panders to the crowd, does his normal poses that he does to the crowd, almost as if you'd have fast forward to the end of this program, you would have thought Hogan just won the main event.
No, the loser comes in and just egomaniacs all over the place.
So then you get one last little interview with Andre the Giant and Bobby the Brain Heenan, where Bobby the Brain Heenan basically says, Hogan, if you want to put your hands on Andre, sign on the dotted line. We'll do it in the ring for the World Heavyweight title.
Yeah, I think this is setting up for a Andre versus Hogan, possibly at Royal Rumble.
Hopefully that's where we get it. Hopefully we get a chance to watch that rematch.
Are we hopefully on this?
I hopefully want to see it. Dick.
We saw this before. It wasn't great.
Okay, so that's where we're at now. So that brings us to our next segment. Favorite match of the night. Okay, so it's time for the favorite match of the night, and there was only 4 matches. So that kind of limits your decisions, and I'll go ahead and start this off. My favorite match of the night was definitely the main event. So I thought the Andre the Giant, Hogan, I just thought that match was so fun. I thought Bam Bam was such a surprise. I guess growing up I remember Bam Bam. I guess I don't remember how agile he was.
Yeah, I don't remember it either. However, I'm going to have to disagree with you.
You're going to disagree with me?
Yes, my favorite match of the night was the first one.
Okay.
With Macho Man Randy Savage, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Honky Tonk Man. I'm going to have to go with that one.
That was a very fun match too. This was a hard, kind of a hard decision between the two, but I just had so much fun watching Bam Bam. I had to go there with it.
I think I might have gone with the tag team match if they didn't get rid of all the great tag teams first.
Early?
Yeah.
Yeah, that match kind of seemed like it lasted a little bit too long, which leads us to our next.
Worst match of the night.
Okay, so there's only 4 matches. So, Blaze, what would your worst match of the night have been?
Do you really need to ask that question?
Yes, I really do need to ask.
It was obviously the women's match. This was not a good match.
You know, I almost would have to agree with you, but I'm going to go a different direction.
The tag team?
The tag team match dragged way too long. It was 37 minutes long. The main event was only 22 minutes long. And it was kind of exciting at the beginning, but then it kind of just dreared off for me. It was really just too long for its own good. And it just, like we were saying earlier, all the good teams that we really like got eliminated fairly early.
And I get what you're saying, but when I say that the Jumping Bomb Angels were a little bit of a highlight in that match, that's only because the rest of the match was so bad that I'm giving just a little bit of credit in that match for those girls.
But the Jumping Bomb Angels made that match very watchable and very exciting.
They made it tolerable.
And I do agree that the rest of the women, I mean, there was a few good spots here and there, but it kept my interest for the most part because they utilized those Jumping Bomb Angels fairly often throughout the whole match, where I felt like the tag team match was pretty good early, but it seemed like once Demolition got eliminated, yeah, you still had the Hart Foundation involved, but it just kind of tapered off for me.
I get it.
It just wasn't. It wasn't keeping my interest until the very end, and it started getting a little better at the end. But for me, it kind of went too long for its own good. Just didn't keep me entertained. So the women's match at least kept me somewhat entertained throughout the whole thing, even though it was kind of clunky at times throughout the match. But I stayed entertained for the most part because, you know, the Jumping Bomb Angels, to me, wasn't the only ones that were doing some exciting things. You also had that, I think it was Velvet McIntyre was doing those pins, those roll-up pins and stuff off the top rope. So, I mean, there was some fun spots in that match.
When your wrestlers can barely pull off a body slam, it's a boring match.
All right, well,
it wasn't a great match.
Agree. This one, agree to disagree, but it's hard to say there's a right or wrong answer when you only get 4 matches to choose from.
Yeah.
But that's what we got for our first ever Survivor Series. Any other surprises you'd like to talk about this show?
Well, we were missing some people in this show.
Who'd you miss in this show?
Well, for one, Rowdy Piper. There was no Piper in this show at all.
I completely agree. I was a little shocked to not see Piper in this show. Another one I missed was the Junkyard Dog didn't make an appearance.
Your favorite wasn't even there.
Yeah, Junkyard Dog wasn't even there. So I'm not 100% sure what his status with the company at this point in time was. I don't know if he pretty much is done with the WWF at this point. I'd have to research and look. But I was a little surprised not to see Junkyard Dog.
I was too.
All right, so that concludes this episode where we watched our first ever Survivor Series.
And where do you put this on the list of your favorite Survivor Series?
Well, for one, right now, it's going to have to go to the top.
I'm going to have to say it's the worst.
In the worst? Okay. So this is the best and worst Survivor Series so far.
That's right.
So our next episode would be, we're moving on to the Royal Rumble. You excited?
I am excited.
So guess who I believe we get to see in this Royal Rumble?
The Ultimate Warrior! My favorite as a kid, and I'm hoping I'm not disappointed.
Yeah, he was always fun to watch, very energetic, very exciting. When I saw he was on the description for the next one, I got excited. So I can't wait for that.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right, so we will see you guys next time.
Are we not going to plug our pluggables?
Okay, let's plug our pluggables before we say goodbye to you guys.
All right. Well, you can follow me at Dragon Blazer Productions on Facebook and on Instagram, and on my Twitter page, Dragon Blazer Pro.
All right, and you can find the Rage and Blaze Show on Facebook. You can find at the Rage and Blaze Show on Instagram and at Ricky Rayberg on Twitter.
All right.
Okay, so we will see you next time. Join us with the conversation. Follow our pages. Yeah, a lot of wrestling content on there. If you're a fan of old school wrestling or even wrestling in general, I think you would enjoy it. So give us a follow.
All right.
We'll see you guys next time.
So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, and goodbye.
And your winners, and still tag team champions of podcast, The Rage and Blaze Show. Thank you for listening. Good night.
Hey everyone, this is Blaze from the Rage and Blaze and the Boomer and Blaze Show. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more wrestling content.